Before McDonald's opened its first British store in October 1974, millions of people across the country had already been eating burgers for 20 years, at proper tables, served by waitresses, with a plastic tomato full of ketchup in the middle and a menu that made complete sense if you had grown up with it and almost none if you had not. That was Wimpy. At its peak, more than 400 restaurants on every major high street. Every price in this video comes from the verified 1972 Wimpy menu. And at least 2 of these items are going to stop you cold because you had completely forgotten they existed. Number 25 is the one almost everyone brings up first. And the reason is not the food, it is the ritual. The Knickerbocker Glory. Nobody got one by accident. It was not something you got on an ordinary weekday. It was a birthday, or someone had done well at school, or mum had decided the week had earned it. The Knickerbocker Glory at Wimpy was the birthday dessert. Not one option among several, the one: ice cream, tinned fruit, whipped cream and sauce built up inside a tall glass with a long spoon reaching all the way to the bottom. Each layer tasted different from the last. A woman who worked at the Coventry Wimpy recalled every birthday party ending the same way. The tall glass arrived, everyone stopped talking. Nobody picked up their spoon until the birthday child went first. 25 pence bought you a ceremony. Not many things in the 1970s could say that. The next item is the one nobody on this list can say with a straight face, and everyone remembers ordering. The bender in a bun. Say it out loud. Go on. There is not a single former Wimpy customer over the age of 40 who can say the words Wimpy bender without something happening to their face. It was a spiced frankfurter curved into a circle in a round, soft bun with half a tomato in the middle. 16.5 pence. Smoky, properly seasoned, actually very good. But ask anyone what they remember about it, and the food is not the first thing they mention. It started life as the Doozle Dog. Lions, who ran the early UK Wimpy operation, invented it and wanted to call it the Doozy. Too common, they decided, so they inserted an L. The Doozle Dog became the Bender. No boardroom decision in British fast food history has ever had more unintended consequences. The next dessert made a ring donut feel like a proper restaurant pudding. The Brown Derby. A donut sat flat on the plate. Soft serve ice cream filled the hole and rose above it. Fudge flakes across the top. Wimpy called this the Brown Derby, and they were not apologising for it. The name came from the famous Hollywood restaurant shaped like an enormous brown hat. Wimpy borrowed it and attached it to something bearing absolutely no resemblance to the original. But it sounded considerably more exciting than donut with ice cream, so the name stayed. 17 pence. 2 pence less than the Knickerbocker Glory, twice as dramatic to arrive at the table. Now we get to the drink that caused more physical frustration than anything else on the menu. The Whipsy. You could put the straw in, you could commit to it. The straw bent before anything moved. The Whipsy was Wimpy's own milkshake, almost aggressively thick, not unpleasantly, satisfyingly. The kind of thick that made drinking it feel like a genuine undertaking. Chocolate, strawberry, vanilla. 17 pence each. The straws at Wimpy were slightly wider than standard because someone had clearly thought about this problem. McDonald's entered the milkshake business in Britain eventually. The people who grew up on Whipsies have opinions about that, strong ones. Now we get to the item that changed what Britain thought a meal could be. The Wimpy Burger. The first hamburger most British people ever ate came from Wimpy. Not McDonald's, not Burger King. This, 16 pence on a plate brought to your table by a waitress. When the first Wimpy bar opened at Leon Corner House in London in 1954, a beef burger was something most British people had only seen on a cinema screen. 10,000 were sold in a single week at the Ideal Home exhibition. By 1972, 16 pence, soft bun, beef patty on the grill, fried onions if you asked, real onions cooked soft and lightly sweet before service. Not in Britain, not in 1974, and not now has McDonald's ever done the same. For anyone who grew up with a Wimpy burger, that was the first thing they noticed when they ate somewhere else. 5 pence might not sound like much. At a Wimpy table in 1972, it was the difference between a lunch and a treat. The Wimpy Cheeseburger. The Wimpy Cheeseburger was the same burger, same bun, same patty, same fried onions. One extra thing on top, a single square of processed cheese. 21 pence, 5 more than the standard. In a family at a Wimpy table in 1972, those 5 pence were genuinely significant. Some tables, everyone got the cheeseburger. Some tables, only the adults did. Some tables, one child got it and the others did not. and the reason was known by everyone present without anyone saying it out loud. The cheese did not dramatically change what you were eating. What it changed was what it meant to be eating it. Now, the one where Wimpy did something nobody else was willing to do and somehow made it feel completely normal. The egg burger. Every country eventually gets to define fast food in its own image. Britain put a fried egg on it. The Wimpy egg burger was a beef burger with a fried egg on top of the patty, served on a plate with a knife and fork waiting. A fried egg on a burger was not a standard item anywhere else in the world. No American chain offered it. No European competitor copied it. It was a specifically British addition because in Britain, a fried egg on something was what turned a snack into a meal. The egg yolk ran into the bun when you cut into it. Beef and yolk together. Nothing like it existed on any other high street in the country. Former Wimpy staff recalled it was often ordered by older customers who had lived through rationing and still thought of a fried egg on something as a genuine luxury. The world had changed enough to sit in a restaurant and order a burger. The thing that still made it feel like a real meal was the egg. The next one you did not drift into. You had decided before you even left the house. The Wimpy king size. Nobody sat down at Wimpy and accidentally ordered the king size. 31 pence, nearly double the standard. You had thought about it on the bus, made a decision. Today, you were having the king size. Bigger patty, bigger bun, the satisfying weight of it arriving at the table. The king size said something quietly to everyone else at the table. That something was, today, this mattered. Some people always ordered the king size. They knew who they were. The next item cost 54 pence, and what that number meant is the whole story. The Wimpy International. 54 pence was not an impulse, it was a statement, a full restaurant plate. Steak, chips, fried egg, tomato, brought to your table by a waitress. In 1972, this was not what most British families were used to eating on a Saturday afternoon. The word international on the board was working hard, suggesting sophistication, worldliness, the idea that this was how people ate in other places, and you could eat that way too, right here. For one afternoon, 54 pence bought the feeling of eating somewhere that knew what it was doing. Now we move into the grill section, and the plates here are going to look very different from what you expected. The Wimpy Special Grill. The difference between a Wimpy grill and a Wimpy Special Grill was the kind of difference you understood the moment the plate arrived. 42 pence, more on the plate, a bigger piece of meat, everything sitting together like a decision had been made about your lunch rather than just an assembly happening. This was the premium choice in the grill section. Parents who ordered it while the children had standard burgers understood what they were signalling. A proper plate of food in a restaurant where someone had taken your order and was bringing it across the room to you. That used to mean something. The next one is where the grill section began, and the menu divided itself in a way most people have now forgotten. The Wimpy Grill. The 1972 Wimpy menu split its main courses into 4 sections: meat, fish, pork, and grills. Most people remember Wimpy as a burger restaurant. The menu had other ideas. The Wimpy Grill sat at the base of the grill section for 36 pence. Grilled meat, a fried egg, a tomato, chips, a hot plate rather than a hot sandwich. Wimpy understood something its American competitors never bothered with. For many British families in the 1970s, a hot-plated meal at a table was the difference between an outing and an ordinary day. If you did eat out, you wanted a plate that looked like it meant something. Now we get to the name that has baffled people for 50 years without a single satisfying explanation. The Shanty Brunch. A shanty is a maritime work song. This does not explain why Wimpy named their mid-morning plate of food after one. The Shanty Brunch was 36 pence. Breakfast and lunch items combined on a single plate, brought to your table at 11 in the morning. In 1972, brunch was not a word most British people used. Breakfast and lunch were separate events at fixed times. A hot plate combining both felt slightly improper and very enjoyable. Whatever the name suggested about sailors, the plate said something simpler. Sit down, this one is yours. The next grill spent its whole existence pretending to be from somewhere more exciting. The Delta Grill. Nobody sitting in a Wimpy in Wolverhampton or Wakefield in 1972 had been to the Mississippi Delta. Wimpy was counting on that. The Delta Grill was 36 pence and the same general plate as the others: meat, egg, tomato, chips. But the name was doing something the food alone could not, suggesting heat, distance, an American romance that made the exact same plate feel slightly different from the one beside it on the board. For 36 pence in 1972, a story was worth including. Now we get to the item that made everyone who actually read the menu do a genuine double take. The Wimpy salad. Something strange happens when you look at the real 1972 Wimpy menu. The salad costs more than the cheeseburger, by nearly double. The reason is practical. Fresh salad in 1970s, Britain was expensive and perishable, requiring daily sourcing and prep that no burger patty ever demanded. The economics made sense. The menu looked absurd. You could have had 2 burgers for the cost of 1 plate of lettuce. The Wimpy salad existed. Almost nobody ordered it twice. The next drink came in a format nobody uses anymore, and the memory of it is more specific than you would expect. Coke in a glass bottle. Cold glass against the palm of your hand, a straw through the cap, 8 pence. The 1955 newspaper account of the very first Wimpy opening noted it specifically, drinks served in a bottle with a straw. By 1972, nearly 20 years later, that was still how your Coke arrived. Not in a paper cup, not from a fountain. A glass bottle, cold in the way only glass can be cold. Most people who had their first sit-down burger at Wimpy can still picture that bottle next to the plastic tomato. The weight of it in the hand does not fade even when the rest of the meal has gone completely. The next one was not an afternoon item. It was the reason some families came in before the shopping even started. The Wimpy breakfast. Most people think of Wimpy as a lunchtime and Saturday afternoon place. The families who knew about the breakfast knew something the others did not. Think about an early Saturday morning before the shops opened, the high street still quiet. Wimpy served a full-cooked breakfast. Sausages, bacon, fried eggs, tomato and toast, brought to your table on a proper plate. Not a grab-and-go bag. A plate. Tea in a pot if you wanted it. The Sunday fry-up happened at home, by whoever drew the short straw that morning. Sitting down at Wimpy and having it brought to you felt like a different category of morning. The Wimpy breakfast is still on the menu today, close enough to what landed on those plates 50 years ago that the memory and the meal blur into each other. The next item involves a competition Wimpy was never going to win, but the food was good anyway. The Wimpy Quarter Pounder. When McDonald's opened its first British restaurant in Woolwich in October 1974, Wimpy had 20 years of history and 400 restaurants already on the ground. They were not panicking, but they were watching. The Quarter Pounder was the response. A proper quarter pound of British beef in a bigger bun. Wimpy marketed it as the first UK hamburger chain to serve a brown bun, the distinctive oat-topped wholemeal roll that became one of their most recognisable features. It was genuinely good. The cultural momentum had already shifted. Some things no burger can reverse on its own. The next one is nothing to do with burgers. It is the Wimpy dessert most people have completely forgotten, which is a genuine shame. The banana split. A whole banana, halved lengthways, laid flat in a long dish, 3 scoops of ice cream sitting in the gap, whipped cream on top, chocolate sauce across all of it. Wimpy served a banana split, and it required considerably more commitment than the Brown Derby or the Knickerbocker Glory to finish. It was bigger than it needed to be, and more dramatic to look at than most things Wimpy put on a table. The dessert you ordered when the Knickerbocker Glory felt too familiar, when you wanted something that needed a moment of consideration before you started. Children who finished the whole thing on a Saturday in the 1970s felt they had accomplished something. They were right. The next 2 items take us back to the very beginning of the operation, and most people have never heard of either. Torpedoes. Before Wimpy was confident in what it was, it sold something called torpedoes. Long oval rolls filled with ham or sardines, offered in the early years for customers not yet ready to commit to a beef burger. When the first Wimpy bar opened in 1954, the hamburger was genuinely foreign to most people walking through the door. The torpedo was the bridge, something familiar, sitting on the menu beside this strange American thing, giving nervous customers a way in. It disappeared as the country fell for the burger. The people who ordered torpedoes never knew they were eating a transitional product. They thought it was just a decent roll. The next one takes a moment to explain because the name alone has never been satisfactorily answered. Freddy's. Somewhere in the history of Wimpy there is a man named Freddy. There must be, because a Freddy was a real menu item. A cold frankfurter with pickled cucumber in a sandwich, sold in the early years as a gentle introduction for customers not yet convinced about hot beef in a bun. Cold sausage, sharp pickle, soft bread. It sat somewhere between a British sandwich and a German market stall. No executive memo has explained the name. The Freddy appeared on menus for a number of years and then left without anyone writing down why it was called what it was called. The next item comes from a section of the 1972 menu that most people have completely forgotten was there. The pork sausage plate. Wimpy was not only a burger restaurant. The 1972 menu made this clear. Main courses came in 4 sections: meat, fish, pork and grills. The pork section offered plates built around proper British pork sausages with fried egg, tomato and chips. For the customer who had walked in because the family wanted to eat out but who was not personally sold on this whole hamburger situation, this plate was there for them. British pork sausages were part of every Sunday fry-up at home. Seeing them on a Wimpy plate made the whole thing feel familiar. This was the item for the British father who came along but had no interest in anything American. The current Wimpy menu still carries a version of this. Some things survive simply because they are exactly what they need to be. The section next to it on that same menu is the one that surprises people most when they hear about it. Fish in a bun. The 1972 Wimpy menu had a fish section. This surprises people. It probably should not. Wimpy was not operating as a burger bar. It was a full sit-down restaurant with table service and multiple menu sections. A full sit-down British restaurant in the 1970s served fish. Fish in a bun made natural sense in Britain because of the fish and chip tradition. Wimpy simply turned it into a sit-down version. For the British customer who preferred fish over meat, this needed no explanation. It was there because it belonged there. The fish customers were always the quieter crowd, but the menu was built for them too, and 50 years later, they are still being served. The next one is a warm pudding, simple, British, and the item on the dessert menu that most people would not think to mention until they hear the name and then cannot stop thinking about it. The Wimpy apple pie. Warm, short crust pastry, apple filling, served on a plate with a spoon at a table. The Wimpy apple pie was the dessert for the person who had no interest in ice cream towers or banana spectacles. The quiet choice. Ordered by someone who wanted something warm at the end of the meal and had no intention of making a show of it. There is something very specifically British about ordering an apple pie in a burger restaurant and having it arrive on a plate without anyone finding that unusual. It sat on the dessert menu beside the Knickerbocker Glory and the Brown Derby, and it asked nothing of you except that you appreciate warmth and pastry, which most people in Britain are quite prepared to do. The people who ordered the apple pie were not the ones talking loudly about their Wimpy order 30 years later. But they were there every Saturday and the pie was waiting. The second entry is the detail almost nobody remembers, and the one that explains everything about why Wimpy felt different from everything that replaced it. The Wimpy tea. Wimpy was a table service restaurant, and no American chain would have understood why that mattered. In the United States, fast food meant a counter, a paper bag, and a car park. In Britain, Wimpy meant a table, a waitress, and at the end, if you wanted it, a teapot. Not a paper cup, a teapot, a cup and saucer, a small jug of milk. Tea in a fast food restaurant would have been unthinkable in America. In Britain, it was the thing that made Wimpy feel like a British restaurant rather than an American import. The teapot said, "You are not in a hurry, and neither are we." When Wimpy converted to counter service in the late 1970s, the teapot went with it. Most people only realised it was gone once they were already somewhere else, holding a paper cup, wondering why it all felt slightly less like a meal. The final entry on this list is the one that almost every child ordered on the way out, and the one that nobody ever writes down when they try to remember what they had. The Wimpy ice cream cone. Soft serve, a single scoop, a cone. You ordered it at the end of the meal or on the way out of the door. It cost very little. It took 30 seconds to hand over, and it was the thing that made a 10-year-old feel like the afternoon had been properly finished. There was no ceremony to the Wimpy ice cream cone. No long spoon, no layering, no fudge flakes. Just soft-serve vanilla in a wafer cone, handed across by a member of staff who had probably served 200 of them that week. It was the simplest thing Wimpy sold. It was also the thing most people remember last and most clearly because it was what you were eating as you walked back out onto the high street, back into the ordinary Saturday afternoon, back into whatever came next. The tall glass of the Knickerbocker Glory marked the beginning of the meal. The ice cream cone marked the end of it. Between those two things, for an hour or so, the table was yours, the waitress knew what you wanted, and the afternoon was exactly as long as it needed to be. There are still 61 Wimpy restaurants open in Britain today. If one is near you, the Knickerbocker Glory is still on the menu. Tell me in the comments what you always ordered. The very first thing that comes to mind. And if this brought something back, subscribe. There is more coming.